This is All India Radio. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you a discussion on digital banking in India gaining momentum. The participants are Jiten Kumar Jain, digital and cyber security expert, and Arjun J. Chaudhary, AIR correspondent.
On this program, I'm joined by our esteemed expert, Sri Jiten Jain, with whom we would discuss in some detail about the launching of 75 digital banking units across the country by Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi on the basis of the announcement made in the Budget 2022-23 by Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. Mr. Jain, a warm welcome to you on the program.
Thank you.
It has been the policy of the government to ensure financial inclusion for all citizens of this country so that they can get access to banking services and financial services for the benefit of their own personal and professional lives. Mr. Jain, what is the implication of this 75 DBU launch across the country? How is it different from any other type of banking unit which is already available for citizens?
Arjunji, you see, if we look at last 7 to 10 years, there has been a concentrated effort by Government of India to digitalize public services. The speed at which India is going through a Digital India program, we have seen government services in every sector, including, right from opening a company to running a business to banking to, availing Aadhaar card to opening bank accounts, everything has gone online. And while, government is putting a lot of efforts on Digital India program, there is a specific effort to ensure that the fruits and benefits of this revolution of digitalization is not only just enjoyed by the middle class or the wealthy individuals, but also it is equally, beneficial to the people who are standing at the last leg of our society in the rural areas. In that context, there is a concentrated effort by the Prime Minister to ensure maximum inclusion, especially if you look at the kind of revolution which has come in the banking sector through the opening of Jan Dhan accounts of farmers. Lakhs and lakhs of farmers got access to the conventional banking system for the first time in their lives. Earlier, for seeking even small loans, they were going to private lenders, getting obnoxious interest rate, losing their deposits. And once they got included to the conventional banking system through Jan Dhan accounts, they started getting benefits of direct benefit transfers, subsidies without any corruption or leakage. Everything of that sort, nepotism has gone away with the opening of Jan Dhan accounts by, directly transferring the public service benefits. Second, what has happened is the question of identity in terms of Aadhaar. We have seen so many cases across India of forged borrowings, drawings, forgery of taking loans, somebody posing as a farmer taking away benefits what was meant for a poor man by just taking away his identity, giving papers to the bank, fraudulent loans. Now, since everything got Aadhaar linked and everybody in India had an Aadhaar identity, I think that leakage and problem has also got solved. And since the government in last 5 years has put dedicated efforts to ensure that every village and every panchayat has an optic fiber connectivity, so that these digital service centers can be opened in every village, every gram, where you can get your Aadhaar card, bank accounts, ration cards, any sort of banking service certificates you can imagine right in the village without coming to the cities. So if you look at this trinity of JAM, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile phones, the internet and smartphones, there is a revolution which is happening and it is leading to the inclusion of everybody in the society to enjoy the benefits of this revolution. Now, this digital banking units is another step in that direction where government is now saying that celebration of 75 years, we are opening 75 digital banking units in rural districts. Now, these units are different in a way from conventional banks. Earlier it was expected, as Prime Minister said, that if a poor farmer had to open an account, he would have to go to a bank hundreds of kilometers and go to a city and get it done. Now there would be a bank within 5 kilometers of any location in India. By using services of India Post, we are able to serve farmer at his doorstep. He can get a bank account open at his doorstep. He doesn't have to go to a bank. And these digital banking units are going to be completely paperless. They are going to be connected. You can open paperless accounts. You can borrow loans. You can transfer money in real time by using this digital banking units. You don't have to wait. But apart from these conventional banking services, there are also going to be value-added services. For example, if you want to avail credit card, debit cards, you don't have to wait. You can just maybe do Aadhaar-based KYC and get a card instantly. You can get digital kits. You can get UPI QR codes if you are a small vendor. You can get point-of-sale machines if you want. You can get from those banks. You can get your Aadhaar ID done, linked, everything. So everything is going to be paperless, digital in real time. It is not going to be, like filing papers and then waiting for months for bank to transfer those papers to the head office and then coming back. So everything will be in real time. And these things are already there in the cities and every branch. But for a village or a district in the rural areas to get these facilities, that is a real revolution. And that is where we are calling that this is a grand step towards inclusion of the people who are standing at the last leg of our society.
What about cyber security? What is it that the fintech companies are offering to customers of the DBUs?
Prime Minister rightly pointed out that phone banking culture in earlier India was different, where people used to make calls to provide some fraudulent loans to some scamsters and all this. But now the phone banking means the digital banking. And in this era of digital banking, government is trying to ensure that we impart maximum cyber hygiene, valuable digital education to our farmers and poor people so that they don't fall prey to online frauds. We are seeing that in last 2-3 years, there are a lot of people who have been scammed using OTP frauds and all those things. And somewhere down the line, it has come out that people are hiring Jan Dhan accounts of poor farmers. Poor farmers are paid 10,000-15,000 rupees a month, and they are told that if you rent us your account, you will get 20,000 rupees per month, 30,000 rupees per month. And their accounts were misused for getting some fraudulent money by scamming people, and the poor farmers were getting into legal trouble. So government is also trying to do that by linking these accounts to digital entities and by digital centers, so that these people who used to give away their cards thinking that जब आप शहर में जाएंगे तो मेरा पैसा निकाल लीजिएगा, just for the sake to do away with the trouble of traveling all the way to cities. Now, since the services will be available right in the villages in the digital ecosystem in the real time, these sort of frauds will also stop. And apart from that, obviously, there is already a good amount of effort which is happening to promote cyber hygiene and education to individuals. But I'm sure that there is much more which needs to be done, especially in the field of cyber security when it comes to rural people. Because if you look at the total number of cyber complaints in India of financial frauds, 90% of the backlog is full of OTP frauds, which involve a small time theft of amounts like 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees. Now, this 10,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees may be a smaller amount for the people who are living in cities or who are wealthy individuals. But if you consider it in the terms of rural areas where 5,000 rupees may be a whole month of saving for poor farmer. So I think it is very important that these people get included in the digital services using digital entities with foolproof verification. This will not only do away with the financial frauds, but also make it easier for them to get rid of any paperwork and get their services themselves online without any individual help.
How is this meeting the standards imposed by the Reserve Bank of India? What does the Governor Shaktikanta Das have to say about it?
You see, there are a lot of things which every bank has to comply with. But if you look at even IMF today is appreciating Government of India that the way they have used this trinity of Jan Dhan and Aadhaar for direct benefit transfer during COVID and ensuring that nobody slept hungry. Everybody got 5,000 rupees which were delivered by the Government of India within a matter of days, just because they were Jan Dhan account, just because they were digital entities connected. There was no leakage of funds. So even IMF is appreciating. And you see, in a country like India, being able to do this despite of the infrastructural issues is a big achievement. If you look at the banking infrastructure per 1 lakh citizens, we have got better infra than whole Europe and China. So in a country of these much challenges, that too in a developing economy, overcoming all those challenges and still being able to deliver better than Europe is obviously a grand achievement.
Tell us something about these fintech companies, financial technology companies, which have helped setting up these DBUs.
You see, the biggest revolution what is happening across the world, not only in India, is UPI. Today, every country in the world is looking at the way UPI has changed the entire transactional landscape. And the second is RuPay card. Today, India has more than 75 crore RuPay cards. You see, we must understand that anything which is offered by a foreign company may be weaponized tomorrow in terms of conflicts. We have seen in the Ukraine war where Western, social media companies have completely blocked access to the Russians for the financial services. MasterCard, Visa, they have all devoted Russians, and the services have been stopped in those countries. And even the international banking transactions are stopped with Russia. So we must have indigenous capacities. So tomorrow we have no foreign dependencies in terms of any conflict. And today we can all be proud that even if the global banking system has to cut India off tomorrow for whatever reasons, we are self-dependent, self-reliant and self-competent, especially in terms of retail banking sector. Today to transfer money anywhere in India, it hardly takes, few seconds if you're using IMPS or instant mode or if you're using UPI. And there is no country, any other part of the world which is offering services at this speed with complete security.
And what about foreign currency exchange? How does the RuPay card facilitate that, or is that within the ambit of DBUs?
No, that is completely a different thing altogether. Foreign conversion rates will obviously apply. But once UPI starts going global and RuPay card signs global, I think we will end up saving a lot of money on transaction costs, which we were giving to foreign companies. Today, UPI transaction has zero cost. And if you do a payment via MasterCard or Visa, you end up paying, or merchant or whatever, you end up losing that, 2% as a convenience fee or sometimes service fee or commission, whatever you can call it. And the settlement time is also 48 hours. But now Government of India has decided that RuPay cards might be linked to UPI instead of those conventional channels. If that happens, the transaction cost will come down from 2% to zero. Now, 2% for any merchant is a significant amount of commission he pays out of his profits and transactions. And these are not 2% of profit, but for the whole transaction. So if RuPay cards get linked to UPI, this will change the complete financial ecosystem in India. And I think 99% transactions will be dominated by UPI and RuPay card in the times to come. And once this company starts going global, and I'm told they are already going to Dubai, Singapore, and many other parts of the world, you will find that Indian companies like Bheem, RuPay, and UPI will dominate the world, maybe at a much bigger scale than Visa and MasterCard have done in the last 30 years.
So what is the revenue source for UPI and RuPay if the transaction cost is going to be 0% instead of the 2% imposed by foreign carriers of money?
See, you also have to understand that these Visa and MasterCards are for-profit private enterprise running in foreign states. UPI, you can call it, it is a digital common infrastructure where a lot of investment has come from Government of India and other financial institutions just to create a banking backbone in India. Yes, of course, there is a massive one-time investment. There is, of course, maintenance cost, but it is much more smaller when it compared to the infrastructure which is used by MasterCard and Visa. And obviously, because of the size of Indian public and the adoption of technology and the number of smartphones, the customer scale in India is, if you put collectively US and Europe together, we are bigger in size in terms of customer pool. So, cost of economy is less. There is obviously an advantage of economies of scale. And so I think there is a lot of pressure from these fintech companies, foreign companies, to tell Government of India that start putting some sort of transaction fee of UPI so that you make money for the public good. Of course, the Government of India can put some sort of transaction fee on UPI and can make huge revenue and which can be put to public good. But at the same time, there is also another advantage that if you don't put a cost, then this Indian indigenous infrastructure will dominate the world. So it's a win-win situation on both sides, and I'm sure government will take appropriate call whether they want to make money out of it or whether they want adoption to happen across the world, and then they might decide to put some small fee. But whatever may be the case, the cost of transaction will be almost negligible when you compare to these credit card companies.
So notwithstanding this subsidy available to citizens right now, the transaction cost almost at zero, apart from the payment services that DBUs provide, what about the lending services? How does it act as a financial intermediary? Is there a rate of interest that it provides to savers? And what is that? And how do they advance loans to the customers of DBUs?
I'm sure these are regulated areas for a common man. If you go to any conventional banking partner, a rate of interest are always regulated by RBI. And if you go to a normal gold shop where you take a loan against by depositing assets or gold, the interest rates are obnoxious, sometimes 20%, 23%. And we have also seen this instant lending apps have suddenly popped up across India. Most of them are Chinese scam apps where they're offering instant loan of 10,000, 15,000 rupees just based on an Aadhaar card. And they end up taking you to install a malware and they blackmail you. And their interest rates are also 100% per month, 150% per month. So I think all this scamming or obnoxious loans happen when the conventional banking facilities are not available to a poor man or he does not have wherewithal to access and do the paperwork. But now using Jan Dhan accounts where they have a zero balance account where they have an Aadhaar link identity. So even if they do not have any other document, they can just go to a bank, put a thumb and get advantage of government services. They can get, Ayushman Bharat insurance. They can get farmer loans without doing any paperwork because everything is digitalized. And that saves them from those monsters who charge 100%, 200% and these people end up losing their deposits and assets. So in a way, I think it's a huge advantage at the very moment when they have logged on to this digital banking ecosystem. But yes, of course, since we are regulated entities, they would anyways be much safer and, much better than compared to any private entity, which was unregulated.
Well, it was interesting to hear from you, Mr. Jiten Jain, about the launch of 75 digital banking units, DBUs, as you mentioned in the program, and how important it is to have a payment services like this for citizens with 0% transaction cost and as a very important alternative to the scamming interests of Chinese-backed apps. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on digital banking in India gaining momentum. The participants were Jiten Kumar Jain, Digital and Cyber Security Expert, and Arjun J. Chaudhary, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.